My name is Olivia Torres, and I'm 38 years old. Last Christmas Eve, my mother forced me to eat dinner on the porch in 30-degree weather while my family celebrated inside, toasting to my failures with champagne that cost more than my weekly salary. She said I was too poor to sit at her table, that my janitor uniform might contaminate the other guests. But when a $100 million Powerball ticket fell from my torn pocket onto her Italian marble floor, she dove for it like her life depended on it, claiming it was hers because it touched her property. The sound she made when she discovered I'd already cashed it 3 weeks earlier and donated $90 million to charity is something I'll never forget. Before we continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. This is the story of how poverty taught me something that 100 million confirmed. Money doesn't change people. It just reveals who they really are. 5 years ago, I was CEO of a tech startup called Next Gen Solutions. We developed software for small businesses, and I'd invested everything. My savings, my 401k, even borrowed against my condo. When the company collapsed after a major client defaulted, I lost $500,000 overnight. The bankruptcy papers were signed in the same building, where I now mop floors every night from 6:00 p.m. to 2 a.m. Yes, I'm a janitor in my own former office building. Every evening, I push my cart past the corner suite on the 15th floor, Suite 1520, where I once made decisions that affected 40 employees. Now I empty the trash cans of executives half my age who don't even look up when I enter. The name plate on that door reads Harrison Tech Ventures now, but I still remember when it said Olivia Torres, Chief Executive Officer. My mother, Margaret, never let me forget this fall from grace. "You had everything," she'd say at every family gathering, her voice carrying across crowded rooms, "and you threw it all away on some ridiculous dream." She turned to whoever was listening, cousins, aunts, family, friends, and add, "Thank God Daniel has a better head for business." Daniel, my younger brother, who's failed at 6 different ventures and currently owes $300,000 to various creditors, including some particularly unforgiving ones who call at all hours. But in Mother's eyes, he's still the golden child who just needs one more chance to prove himself. The difference between us: he never fell from anywhere because he never climbed in the first place. Every night as I clean those offices, I think about second chances and who deserves them. Sometimes the universe has its own way of answering that question. The Torres family fortune was built by my grandmother, Alina, who started with a small bakery in 1962 and turned it into a chain of 30 stores before selling to a national corporation. My mother, Margaret, rode those coattails her entire career, landing a position as regional bank director purely through family connections. She retired at 60 with a full pension and a $2 million house in Westchester, the one she inherited from my grandfather, not earned herself. The house itself is a monument to inherited wealth. 7 bedrooms, Italian marble imported in the 70s, a swimming pool that hasn't been used in a decade. Every Christmas she fills it with relatives who come to pay homage and jockey for position in her will. She's made it clear she has $5 million to leave behind. Though Grandma Alina, still sharp at 85, controls the real family fortune, an estate worth nearly $20 million that Margaret assumes will pass to her eventually. Just last week, Daniel called me at 2 a.m., drunk and desperate. "Sis, I need 50 grand by Friday or they're going to break my legs. Mom already gave me some, but I need more." I could hear slot machines in the background. When I told him I didn't have it, he laughed bitterly. "Right, the janitor's sister, I forgot. Maybe you can mop up my blood when they're done with me." The next morning, Mother called to berate me for refusing to help family. She'd given him another $50,000 from her retirement account, his 8th loan this year. "At least Daniel tries," she said. "He takes risks you just gave up." I said nothing. I'd learned long ago that defending myself only gave her more ammunition. 3 weeks before Christmas, I was cleaning the executive bathroom on the 15th floor when I found a crumpled dollar bill behind the toilet. Most people would have thrown it away. It was damp and disgusting. But minimum wage teaches you that every dollar counts. I smoothed it out, dried it with paper towels, and decided to buy a Powerball ticket on my way home. The jackpot was at $100 million. Why not? I bought the ticket at the same bodega where I get my coffee every morning at 5:00 a.m. before my shift. Sam, the owner, joked as he printed it. "When you win, don't forget us little people." We both laughed. He didn't know I was one of the little people. Now, 3 days later, alone in the janitor's supply closet that serves as my break room, I checked the numbers on my phone. Then I checked them again and again. I sat on an overturned bucket, surrounded by mops and industrial bleach, staring at the screen for 20 minutes. The numbers didn't change. 6 numbers all matching, $100 million. My first instinct wasn't joy, it was fear. Fear that someone would find out. Fear that it wasn't real. Fear that somehow even this would be taken from me. I folded the ticket carefully, placed it in a Ziploc bag, and hid it inside my work boot. For 3 days, I carried $100 million in my shoe while mopping floors. On the 4th day, I called in sick and drove to the Lottery Commission in Albany alone. I filled out the paperwork with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The clerk, a middle-aged woman named Patricia, smiled kindly. "Honey, you need to get a lawyer before you sign anything else." She was right. I needed a plan. The lawyer's name was Maria Santos, recommended by Patricia at the Lottery Commission. Her office was in the same building where I used to work, 2 floors above my old suite. As I sat in her leather chair, she explained my options: lump sum versus annuity, tax implications, and most importantly, how to claim the prize quietly. "I want to set up a trust," I told her. "An irrevocable charitable trust for $90 million of the after-tax amount." She raised an eyebrow. "That's generous. You'll only have about $10 million left for yourself after taxes and the donation." "It's enough," I said. "The foundation will help women who failed at business get second chances. Real support, not just motivational speeches." As she drew up the papers, I made another request. "I need a photocopy of the original ticket, a good one." Maria understood immediately, planning something. Just a family Christmas dinner. Over the next 2 weeks, I executed everything quietly. The ticket was validated, the money transferred. The Second Chances Foundation established with me as director. I even bought back my old building through a shell company, though no one would know until after the holidays. Then I went shopping, but not for what you'd expect. At Goodwill, I found the perfect outfit. A plaid sweater that might have been burgundy once, polyester pants with a subtle stain on the knee, and shoes with separated soles. I looked at myself in the thrift store mirror and smiled. Perfect. The morning of Christmas Eve, I tucked the photocopied ticket into the pocket of that old sweater. The real ticket was already with the Lottery Commission, processed and paid. But Margaret didn't need to know that. Not yet. I arrived at Mother's house at 4 p.m. sharp on Christmas Eve, parking my 10-year-old Honda behind Daniel's new Mercedes S-Class, the one Mother had co-signed for last month. Through the tall windows, I could see the family already gathered, 30 relatives in their holiday finest, champagne flutes catching the light from the crystal chandelier. My cousin Jennifer spotted me first as I walked up the circular driveway. She was posing for a selfie with her new $40,000 Hermes Birkin bag, a 35 cm in rouge cassock that she'd been bragging about on Instagram for weeks. "Olivia," she called out with false cheer, then stopped mid-smile when she saw my outfit. "Oh, is that what you're wearing?" The foyer was marble and money, filled with the sound of forced laughter and real jewelry. My Aunt Patricia's Van Cleef and Arpels necklace caught the light as she turned away from me. Uncle Robert, Jennifer's husband, checked his Patek Philippe and muttered something about the help arriving. "Olivia," Mother's voice cut through the chatter like a blade through silk. She stood at the top of the stairs in a St. John's suit that cost more than I made in 2 months. "What are you wearing?" "My best clean clothes," I said simply. The room went quiet. Someone, I think it was Jennifer's daughter, whispered, "The janitor is here." Not quietly enough. Mother descended the stairs slowly. Each click of her Laubautin heals a small judgment. "Well," she said, looking me up and down, "I suppose we should be grateful you came at all." She turned to the room. "Everyone, Olivia has graced us with her presence." No one met my eyes. Daniel, standing by the bar in his new Armani suit, raised his glass in mock salute and mouthed, "Merry Christmas, sis." The dining room was set for 31 people, but there were only 30 chairs. Mother had used the Waterford crystal and the Francis I silver, place settings worth $500 each, inherited from Grandma Aliner. Every seat had a hand-calligraphed place card. Mine was nowhere to be seen. "Oh," Mother said with practiced surprise, "I must have miscounted." "Well, Olivia, you don't mind, do you? Perhaps you'd be more comfortable on the porch. It's enclosed and the heater works mostly." Daniel laughed, already 3 whiskeys in. "Hey, at least you're used to eating alone, right? All those night shifts." He turned to our cousin Marcus. "She eats dinner at 3:00 a.m. in a supply closet. This is probably an upgrade." Jennifer had her phone out, live streaming to her 5,000 followers. "Family Christmas at the Torres estate," she chirped. "So blessed to be here with successful, accomplished people." The camera panned across the table, deliberately skipping over me. From the living room, I noticed Grandma Aliner watching silently from her wheelchair. She hadn't said a word since I'd arrived, but her eyes, sharp as ever, tracked everything. "There's a folding table on the porch," Mother continued, guiding me toward the French doors. "And I'll have someone bring you a plate. We're having beef Wellington, though I'm not sure you'd appreciate it anymore. Your palate must have adjusted to simpler things." The porch was cold, despite the space heater. Through the glass doors, I could see the family toasting, laughing, celebrating their good fortune. The folding table wobbled when I sat down. A paper plate, not china, was brought out by the caterer, who looked embarrassed. "Some people are meant to serve," Mother's voice carried through the glass. "Others to be served." 20 minutes into dinner, Mother clinked her crystal champagne flute. The sound carried even to the porch. I pressed closer to the cold glass to hear her announcement. "Before we continue this wonderful evening," Margaret began, standing at the head of the table, "I want to make something clear to everyone, especially given some recent questions about my intentions." She looked directly at me through the glass doors. "I've decided to update my will. Everything, the house, the investments, my entire estate will go to Daniel. He's proven that even in failure, he keeps trying. He takes risks. He maintains ambition." Daniel raised his glass, grinning. "Thanks, Mom. I promise I'll make you proud." "As for Olivia," Margaret continued, her voice carrying clearly, "she's demonstrated that some people simply aren't meant for success. 5 years as a janitor has proven where her capabilities truly lie. I won't enable further failure by leaving her money she'd only waste." Jennifer's camera was catching everything. The comments were already flowing on her screen. I could see them from where I sat. "Harsh but fair," someone wrote. "Truth hurts," said another. "To successful children," Margaret raised her glass. "To those who deserve their inheritance." The room erupted in applause. Through the window, I saw Uncle Robert pat Daniel's back. Aunt Patricia whispered something to her daughter about cautionary tales. Even the caterers exchanged glances. Only Grandma Aliner remained still, her weathered hands folded in her lap, saying nothing. My plate had gone cold, congealed gravy over meat I hadn't touched. The December wind rattled the loose porch windows. Inside, warm and golden, my family celebrated my exclusion with vintage champagne that cost more than my weekly salary. I smiled for the first time all evening. I sat alone on that cold porch for another 30 minutes, watching my family through the glass like they were a television show about people I'd never met. The space heater sputtered and died. My breath became visible in small puffs. The congealed Wellington looked like something from a crime scene. Inside, they'd moved on to dessert, Mother's famous trifle served in baccarat crystal bowls. Daniel was telling a story about his latest investment opportunity, his hands moving wildly, whiskey sloshing dangerously close to Aunt Patricia's white cashmere dress. Jennifer had switched from live streaming to taking photos of everyone's jewelry, zooming in on watches and rings for her luxury lifestyle Instagram. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my bank app one last time. The number was still there, $62 million after taxes. The second Chance's Foundation account showed $90 million ready to deploy. My old office building's deed was in my name as of yesterday. Everything was in place. Through the window, I watched Mother hold court, basking in the admiration of relatives who wanted her money. She caught me looking and made a shooing gesture, like I was a stray cat begging for scraps. That's when I knew the moment had come. I stood slowly, my joints stiff from the cold. The folding chair scraped against the concrete, an ugly sound that somehow felt appropriate. I picked up my untouched plate, the fancy food now looking like garbage, and walked to the French doors. Inside, the warm air hit me like a slap. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. 30 pairs of eyes turned to track my movement across the dining room toward the kitchen. "Just returning the plate," I said quietly. "Then I'll go." Mother smiled triumphantly, running away as always. Daniel stood up from his chair, swaying slightly. "Hey, while you're up, why don't you clear the rest of the table? You're used to it anyway." He gestured at the dessert plates scattered across the table. "Might as well make yourself useful." A few cousins laughed nervously. Jennifer kept her camera rolling. "Come on, Olivia," Mother added, her voice honeyed with false concern. "At least contribute something to this family gathering. It's the least you can do after eating our food." "Your food?" I asked quietly. "I didn't touch it. It went cold while I sat outside." "Because you chose to be difficult," she snapped. "You could have eaten faster. Time management has never been your strength, hence your current position." Uncle Robert chimed in. "Margaret's right. In the corporate world, we call that inefficiency. It's probably why your company failed." "At least the janitor job prepared you for this," Daniel added, getting bigger laughs now. "Think of it as overtime." I stood in the middle of their dining room in my Goodwill clothes, surrounded by Waterford and Francis I. Silver, while my millionaire relatives laughed at the joke I'd become. The chandelier light caught every piece of jewelry, every designer watch, every symbol of success I supposedly lacked. Jennifer zoomed her camera in on my face. "Getting this?" someone asked her. She nodded eagerly. "I should go," I said, walking toward the foyer where my coat hung, the same threadbare thing I'd worn for 3 years. "Running away," Mother called after me. "Just like you ran from your responsibilities, your debts, your failures. At least have the dignity to help clean up before you slink off." I reached for my coat slowly, my hand fumbling with the pockets. I pulled the coat from the hook, a brown wool thing with pills and a torn lining that I'd bought at Salvation Army 3 years ago. Around me hung the other coats, Mother's $5,000 Max Mara cashmere, Jennifer's Burberry trench, Daniel's new Canada Goose parka. Mine looked like a stain among them. "Thank you for the hospitality," I said, turning to face the room. Everyone had followed me to the foyer to watch the final act of my humiliation. "It's been illuminating hospitality." Margaret laughed. "You ate on the porch like a what, Mother?" I asked calmly. "Like a servant, like someone beneath you." "If the shoe fits," Daniel said. "Or in your case, if the torn shoe fits." He pointed at my separated sole, which had started flapping as I walked. I struggled with my coat, the torn lining catching on my sweater. As I pulled it free, my hand went to the pocket, checking for something. The movement was clumsy, obvious. Forgetting something, Jennifer asked, camera still rolling. Your dignity, maybe. Oh, wait, you can't forget what you never had. The room erupted in laughter. Even the caterers in the doorway were trying not to smile. I fumbled more with the pocket. Never mind. This is exactly your problem, Mother said, stepping closer. Disorganized, fumbling, always losing things. No wonder you lost a whole company. I turned toward the door, then stopped. My hand went to my pocket again, patting it, then digging deeper. My expression changed to confusion, then worry. What now? Mother asked, exasperated. Lost your car keys too, though I don't know why you still have that embarrassment of a Honda. No, I pulled my pocket inside out. The lottery ticket fluttered to the marble floor like a dying butterfly. It landed face up, the Powerball logo clearly visible along with the printed numbers and the date from 3 weeks ago. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Margaret's eyes locked onto the paper, and I watched her pupils dilate as she read the jackpot amount printed at the bottom. 100 million. Jackpot. What? She started, then dropped to her knees faster than I'd ever seen her move. She snatched the ticket with both hands, her St. John suit stretching dangerously. Powerball, these numbers, these are the winning. That's the winning ticket, Daniel shouted, sobering instantly. Those are the numbers. I saw them on the news. $100 million. Margaret clutched the ticket to her chest, her face transforming from shock to pure naked greed. This is mine, she screamed. It fell in my house on my property. You ate my food. This is mine. Jennifer's camera shook as she zoomed in on the ticket. Oh my God, we're rich. The Torres family won the lottery. Legally, Robert said quickly, his lawyer instincts kicking in. Anything found in this house. It's mine, Margaret repeated, standing up, the ticket crumpled in her white-knuckled grip. This is God's reward for everything I've suffered raising an ungrateful failure. This is justice. Daniel was already on his phone with his bookie. Yeah, I'll have your money by Monday, all of it with interest. The entire room exploded into chaos, cousins calculating their potential gifts, Jennifer live-streaming frantically, lottery ticket found at family Christmas. You won't believe what happens next. Margaret turned to me, triumph blazing in her eyes. You see, even God agrees you don't deserve success. I stood perfectly still by the door, saying nothing. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, type dignity in the comments. I see you, and you're not alone. Please hit that like button. It really helps more people find these stories of justice. And trust me, you'll want to see what happens when greed meets reality. Now, let me tell you what happened when my mother tried to claim that ticket. Margaret held the ticket up to the chandelier light like she was authenticating a diamond. $100 million, she whispered reverently, then louder. $100 million. 30 million goes to my debts, Daniel said immediately, already calculating. Then we buy that compound in the Hamptons, the rest we invest. Margaret cut him off. This is mine, Daniel, but don't worry, sweetheart, Mommy will take care of you. 30 million for your debts. Yes, 20 million for a new house for me, something befitting our new status. Jennifer was reading comments on her live stream. Someone says to check if it's real. Someone else is asking why Olivia had it. She looked up at me. Why did you have the winning ticket? I bought it, I said simply. With what money? Daniel laughed. You make minimum wage. $1 I found cleaning toilets, I replied. The room exploded in laughter again. How poetic, Mother exclaimed. Toilet money, but you found that dollar in my son's building during work hours, I'm sure. That makes it company property, which means nothing, Robert interrupted, his legal mind working. But the ticket was abandoned in this house. Olivia clearly dropped it and left it behind. In legal terms, that's abandonment of property. The homeowner has salvage rights. Exactly. Margaret clutched the ticket tighter. God meant for me to have this. Why else would she drop it here? It's divine intervention. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. I'm calling the lottery commission right now. We're claiming this immediately. Put it on speaker, Jennifer shouted. "This is going viral. We're at 50,000 viewers." Everyone crowded closer as Margaret dialed. Robert had already pulled up lottery law on his phone. "According to state regulations," he announced with authority, his $5,000 Armani suit giving him an air of legal expertise, "possession is 9/10 of the law. The ticket is now in Margaret's physical possession, found on her property." "You can't just take my ticket," I said quietly. "Your ticket," Margaret laughed. "You abandoned it. You literally dropped it and were leaving. That's legal abandonment, isn't that right, Robert?" "Absolutely," he confirmed. "I've handled similar cases. Once property is abandoned on private premises, the property owner has full salvage rights. It's ironclad." "Besides," Mother added, "you owe me far more than this. 18 years of raising you. College tuition I paid. The loans I gave you for that failed company. Consider this partial repayment." "You never gave me loans for my company," I said. "Emotional loans," she snapped. "Do you know what it cost me socially when you failed? The embarrassment. My friends at the club still whisper about it. This money is compensation for my suffering." Daniel was already planning the celebration party. "We'll rent out the Rainbow Room, announce it to everyone. The Torres family comeback." "We should call the news stations," Jennifer suggested. "This is the kind of story they love, from rags to riches. Well, you'll still be in rags, Olivia, but the rest of us." The phone was ringing. Margaret put it on speaker, and the automated lottery commission menu began playing. "For winning ticket verification, press 1, the robotic voice said. Margaret pressed 1 with a perfectly manicured nail, her hand trembling with anticipation. "Please have your ticket ready," the voice continued. Everyone held their breath. "State Lottery Commission Prize Claims Department. This is Patricia speaking. How may I help you?" The same Patricia who'd helped me 3 weeks ago, though Mother didn't know that. "Yes," Margaret practically shouted into the phone. "We have the winning Powerball ticket, the $100 million $1. "I see. May I have the ticket number, please?" Margaret read the numbers slowly, carefully, her voice shaking. "PB 77459821334677789. "One moment, please." We could hear typing. The room was so quiet you could hear the caterers breathing in the kitchen doorway. "Ma'am, can you confirm the date on the ticket?" "December 3rd, Margaret said. 3 weeks ago." "And your name?" "Margaret Torres, Torres." More typing, then a pause that seemed to last forever. "Mrs. Torres, I need to inform you that this ticket was already claimed and processed." The room froze. Margaret's face went white. That's impossible. I'm holding it right here." "The original ticket was submitted to our offices on December 7th by..." Patricia paused, and I could picture her looking at her screen, Olivia Torres. "The prize money was transferred to her accounts after tax withholding. What you're holding must be a photocopy." "A photocopy?" Margaret screamed. She held the ticket up to the light again, and now in the bright chandelier glare you could see it. The slight pixelation, the too perfect whiteness of the paper. But, Daniel stammered. "That's fraud, she tricked us." "Ma'am," Patricia continued calmly, "is there anything else I can help you with?" Margaret couldn't speak. The phone slipped from her hand and clattered on the marble floor. Jennifer's live stream chat was exploding with laughing emojis and scammed comments. Everyone turned to look at me. "This ticket was claimed 3 weeks ago," Patricia's voice continued from the phone on the floor, now on speaker for all to hear. "On December 7th at 2:47 p.m. to be exact by Olivia Torres. The payment was processed and completed." Margaret's hands were shaking as she picked up the phone. But I have it right here." She dropped it. "It's mine." "What you have is a photocopy, ma'am. The original ticket is in our vault as required by law. Is Miss Olivia Torres there? I can confirm with her if you'd like." "I'm here," I said calmly. "Miss Torres, congratulations again on your win. I hope the foundation paperwork went through smoothly." "Foundation," Margaret's voice cracked. "What foundation?" "Thank you, Patricia," I said. Everything was processed perfectly. Wonderful. Have a lovely holiday. The line went dead. The room erupted. Daniel lunged for the ticket in Margaret's hand, holding it up to the light. It is a photocopy. Look at the edges. The color's off. You knew, Margaret screamed at me. You came here with a fake ticket. You set us up. I came here with a piece of paper, I said quietly. You're the one who dove for it. You're the one who claimed it was yours. You're the one who called the lottery commission to steal what you thought was my property. Jennifer's phone was going crazy. The viewer count had jumped to 75,000. Comments were flooding in. OMG, the mother got played. Karma is real. This is better than Netflix. Show us proof, Daniel demanded. If you really won, where's the proof? I reached into my other pocket, the one I hadn't fumbled with, and pulled out a folded document. The document was pristine, official, with the State Lottery Commission seal embossed in gold. I unfolded it slowly, letting everyone see the header. Official prize claim receipt. This is my receipt, I said, holding it up. Notarized, witnessed, and signed by 3 state officials. December 7th, 2:47 p.m. Prize amount, $100 million. Lump sum payment selected. $62 million after federal and state taxes. Robert snatched it from my hands, his lawyer eyes scanning every line. His face went pale. This is real, he whispered. The notary seal, the signatures, everything. Let me see the bank statement, Margaret demanded. I pulled out my phone, logged into my account, and turned the screen toward them. The balance showed $62,847,293.45. Margaret's knees buckled. Daniel caught her, but he was staring at the phone screen in horror. But wait, I said, pulling out another document. There's more. The second paper was even more official-looking. Irrevocable Charitable Trust Establishment. What is that? Jennifer whispered, her camera shaking. 3 days after claiming the prize, I said, I established the Second Chances Foundation. $90 million, the full pre-tax amount minus $10 million for my personal use, is now permanently locked in a charitable trust. It will provide grants for women who failed at business and need a second chance. You gave away $90 million, Daniel screamed. It's irrevocable, Robert confirmed, reading the document. She can't undo it even if she wanted to. The money's gone. Well, not gone. It's just not hers anymore. You idiot, Margaret shrieked. You had $100 million and you gave it away. I kept what I needed, I said simply. $10 million is more than enough for a fresh start. The Second Chances Foundation, I continued, holding up the trust document, is already operational. The board includes 3 former Fortune 500 CEOs, 2 venture capitalists, and interestingly enough, Maria Santos, Grandma Alina's personal attorney. At the mention of Maria's name, Grandma Alina smiled for the first time all evening. The foundation's first initiative launches January 1st, I said. Grants of $100,000 to $500,000 for women who failed at their first business venture. No collateral required. No humiliation, just second chances. You could have helped Daniel, Margaret cried. You could have paid his debts. You could have enabled more gambling, more failed schemes, more bailouts, I replied, shaking my head. The foundation helps people who take responsibility for their failures and want to build something real. Robert was still reading the documents. This is ironclad. Maria Santos doesn't mess around. Every penny is protected. The foundation can't be dissolved. The funds can't be redirected. He looked up. You've named yourself as paid director. Salary of $200,000 a year. A janitor's salary didn't suit me anymore, I said. Jennifer's live stream was going insane. The viewer count hit 100,000. Best Christmas ever, the mom's face. This is legendary. But there's one more thing, I said, pulling out a final document. This is a deed transfer. As of yesterday, I own the Meridian office building on 5th Avenue. Daniel's jaw dropped. That's where you work, where you're a janitor. Was a janitor, I corrected. It's where my old company was based. Suite 1520 is being renovated as we speak. The Second Chances Foundation will operate from their starting January 2nd. Margaret was hyperventilating. You planned all of this. I've seen enough. Everyone turned. Grandma Alina was standing from her wheelchair, using her cane but fully upright. The room gasped collectively. "Mother," Margaret exclaimed, "you can walk." "I've always been able to walk, Margaret. The wheelchair just makes people reveal themselves faster. They think I'm helpless, so they show their true colors." She moved toward the center of the room with surprising strength for 85. "And tonight, you've shown yours magnificently." She turned to me. "Olivia asked me to witness something tonight. She said I'd want to see who my daughter really was when money was involved. I must say, it exceeded even my worst expectations." "Mother, I can explain." "Explain what? How you humiliated your own daughter, made her eat on the porch like a dog, how you dove for money that wasn't yours like a common thief, how you were ready to steal what you thought was her last hope." Alina's voice was steel. "I've watched you favor Daniel despite his failures, watched you crush Olivia's spirit year after year." "She's a janitor," Margaret protested. "She was a janitor," Alina corrected. "After losing everything, she took the only job she could find and worked it with dignity. While you sat in a house you inherited, living off money you didn't earn, judging someone who actually worked for a living." Alina pulled out her phone. "Maria, are you still on the line?" "Yes, Mrs. Torres." Maria Santos's voice came through clearly. "I've recorded everything as you requested." "Good. Please execute the changes to my will immediately." "What changes?" Margaret's face went white. "The $5 million I was leaving you. It's going to Olivia's foundation instead." "You can't do this," Margaret screamed. "I'm your daughter." "And you've proven tonight exactly what kind of daughter you are," Alina replied coldly. "Maria, please confirm the changes." Maria's voice came through the speaker. "The codicil to your will has been updated. Margaret Torres is removed as beneficiary. The $5 million previously allocated to her will now go to the Second Chances Foundation upon your passing, witnessed and notarized." "As for Daniel," Alina continued, turning to my brother who was sweating through his Armani suit, "the trust fund I set up for you, the one that would have paid out $1 million on your 40th birthday, that's dissolved too. That money will go to Olivia's foundation to help people who actually want to work." Daniel's phone started ringing, then another, then another. All his creditors somehow knowing their last hope of payment had evaporated. "This is insane," Robert protested. "You can't just disinherit family." "I can and I have," Alina said. "I've left provisions for the grandchildren who have shown character. Jennifer, your daughter who whispered about the janitor, nothing. Marcus, who laughed at Olivia's shoes, nothing. But Olivia, who worked with dignity when she had nothing. She doesn't need my money anymore, but she has my respect." The room was in chaos. Jennifer's live stream showed 150,000 viewers now. The comments were brutal. "Grandma for president." "The mother got destroyed." "This is the best karma I've ever seen." "Furthermore," Alina announced, "Margaret, you have 60 days to vacate my house." "Your house," Margaret shrieked. "You thought you inherited it from your father, but it was always in my name. I let you live here. But after tonight, you're no longer welcome." Jennifer's phone was practically smoking from the activity. "We're trending," she gasped. #1 on Twitter. Grandma Justice is the top hashtag." The comments scrolled so fast they were unreadable, but certain phrases kept appearing. "Karma. The mom deserved it. Toxic family exposed. That grandmother is savage." Daniel's phone wouldn't stop ringing. He was declining call after call, but they kept coming. "They know," he said, panicked. "Somehow they all know I'm not getting any inheritance." "Because I told them," Alina said calmly. "I called your major creditors this afternoon. Wanted them to know the well was dry. Amazing how fast word travels in certain circles." "You set us up," Margaret screamed at both Alina and me. "You planned this together." "I planned nothing," Alina replied. I simply asked to observe my family on Christmas. Olivia suggested I might find it educational. She was right. Uncle Robert was backing toward the door. We should go, Jennifer. We shouldn't be here. But Jennifer couldn't stop filming. 200,000 viewers. This is insane. People are sharing it everywhere. CNN just requested permission to use the footage. Aunt Patricia was already at the coat closet grabbing her fur. Other relatives were following, rats fleeing a sinking ship. Within minutes, half the room had emptied. Cowards, Margaret shouted after them. You were happy to eat my food, drink my champagne. Your food, Eleanor asked. Paid for with my money. Your champagne charged to my credit card. Even tonight's caterers, I paid them directly. You owe nothing, Margaret. You never have. Daniel's phone rang again. This time he answered. We could all hear the voice on the other end. You have 48 hours to pay or we start breaking things. Margaret fell to her knees, still clutching the worthless photocopy. Her perfect makeup was running in black streaks down her face. Olivia, please. I'm your mother. Yes, I said quietly. You are. I raised you. I fed you. I clothed you. With Grandma's money, I pointed out. But I loved you. Did you, when you made me eat on the porch, when you called me a failure in front of everyone, when you announced I wasn't worthy of inheritance, was that love? She crawled forward, actually crawled, grabbing at my torn shoes. I was trying to motivate you. Tough love. I wanted you to succeed. No, I said, stepping back. You wanted me to fail so you could feel superior. Well, congratulations. I did fail. I lost everything. And in losing everything, I found out who really cared about me. Family helps family, she sobbed. Family doesn't humiliate family. Family doesn't make family eat alone in the cold. Family doesn't steal from family, which is what you tried to do with that ticket. But you have millions. You could save us. Daniel needs help. I'll lose the house. It's not your house, Eleanor reminded her. It never was. Olivia, please, Margaret wailed. Just give Daniel something. $1 million, even $500,000. He'll die if he can't pay. He can get a job, I said. I hear there's an opening for a janitor at the Meridian building. Night shift, minimum wage, but honest work. Daniel made a choking sound. I'd rather die. That's your choice, I said. But I worked that job for 5 years. It taught me humility, something you both desperately need to learn. I stood in the center of my mother's foyer, my grandmother's foyer, surrounded by the wreckage of my family's greed. The marble floor was littered with champagne glasses, the worthless lottery ticket, and what was left of Margaret's dignity. You want to know what I learned as a janitor? I asked the room. I learned that money doesn't buy self-respect, but it does reveal character. Tonight, you've all shown me yours. I looked at each remaining relative. Uncle Robert, you were ready to use your legal knowledge to steal from me. Aunt Patricia, you whispered about me like I wasn't human. Jennifer, you broadcast my humiliation for likes and follows. But you got rich, Jennifer protested. This worked out for you. I was already rich when I walked in here, I said. But I wanted to see if any of you would treat me with kindness when you thought I had nothing. Not one of you did, not even my own mother. I turned back to Margaret. The $10 million I kept, it's not for luxury, it's for a new start. A house that I earned, a car that I bought, a life that's mine. And you'll never be part of it. You're cruel, Margaret spat. Heartless. No, I said. I'm free. For the first time in my life, I'm free of your judgment, your conditions, your twisted version of love. That's worth more than $100 million. I looked at Eleanor. Thank you, Grandma, for seeing me when no one else did. You saw yourself, dear, she replied. I just witnessed it. I headed for the door, past the coats, past the shame, past everything that had held me down for 38 years. At the door, I turned back one last time. The foyer looked like a battlefield. Margaret on her knees. Daniel frantically texting his creditors. Jennifer still filming, but crying now, realizing she'd been on the wrong side of history. I reached for my shabby coat, then stopped. You know what? Keep it. A reminder of what you thought I was worth. I pulled off the threadbare sweater, revealing what I'd worn underneath. A simple but elegant black cashmere dress. Designer, understated, worth more than everything Jennifer was wearing combined. You never even noticed, I said. You saw what you wanted to see, a failure, a janitor, someone beneath you. From my purse, which they hadn't noticed was a $30,000 Hermes Kelly bag in noir, I pulled out a car fob, not for the 10-year-old Honda, for the Tesla Model S that had been waiting around the corner, my driver keeping it warm. Merry Christmas, I said to the room. You got exactly what you deserve, each other. I walked out into the December night. Snow was falling soft and clean. My driver, James, was standing by the Tesla. How did it go, Miss Torres? He asked. Exactly as expected, I said. They showed me who they are. As we pulled away, I saw through the rear window Margaret running out onto the lawn, still clutching the fake ticket, screaming something I couldn't hear. Daniel beside her on his knees in the snow. Jennifer filming it all, probably hoping to salvage some sympathy from her audience. My phone buzzed. A text from a leaner. Proud of you, dear. The foundation will change lives. Their greed would have wasted it all. She was right. Every penny I'd given away was worth this moment of absolute clarity. Has someone in your family ever shown their true colors when money was involved? You're not alone. The comments are full of similar stories. Please share your experience below, and remember to subscribe if you want to hear more stories about people standing up to toxic families. Now, let me tell you what happened in the days and months that followed. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Within an hour, Jennifer's live stream had been screen recorded and shared across every platform. Lottery karma became the #1 trending topic worldwide. Margaret holding the fake ticket, diving for it like an animal, became a meme within hours. Robert tried to do damage control, claiming the video was edited, that Jennifer had been forced to film, but the internet had receipts. Jennifer's own previous videos showed her bragging about the family wealth, mocking poor relatives without naming names. Internet detectives quickly figured out she meant me. The Lottery Commission released a statement confirming that, yes, the prize had been claimed by Olivia Torres on December 7th, and no, a photocopy has no value whatsoever. They added a warning about lottery scams, using Margaret as a cautionary tale without naming her directly. Everyone knew who they meant. Daniel's creditors weren't waiting. By morning, 3 men had shown up at the house, Eleanor's house, looking for him. Margaret had to call the police. The local news picked up that story too. Lottery loser son hiding from bookies. But the best part, the caterers who'd watched me eat alone on the porch went to the media. We felt so bad for her, one said. They treated her like she wasn't even human. Then she turned out to be worth millions and had given most of it to charity. It's like a fairy tale, but better, because the villains got what they deserved. Within 48 hours, Margaret's social media had to be shut down. The comments were devastating. Her country club released a statement that she was no longer a member in good standing. Translation: banned. By New Year's Eve, the video had 50 million views across all platforms. Grandma Justice, merchandise was being sold on Etsy. Someone had auto-tuned Margaret's "It's Mine" scream into a dance remix that charted on Spotify. News outlets worldwide picked up the story. The BBC called it the Christmas comeuppance. Japanese television did a full-hour special with actors recreating the scene. Someone in Hollywood reportedly started writing a screenplay. But the real explosion came when Forbes did a piece on the Second Chances Foundation. They'd investigated and found that I'd structured it brilliantly. Every dollar was protected, the board was stellar, and the mission was clear. Applications poured in from women who'd failed at business and been written off by everyone, including their families. The first grant recipient was announced January 15th. Sarah Chen, no relation, who'd lost her tech startup in 2019 and had been driving Uber to survive. She cried during the press conference. Someone believed in second chances, she said. Olivia Torres knows what it's like to fall and have everyone kick you while you're down. Margaret tried to rehabilitate her image by giving an interview to a local news station. It backfired spectacularly. She claimed I'd set her up, that the whole thing was elder abuse, she was 62, and that she was the real victim. The interviewer asked her one question, "But why did you make your daughter eat on the porch?" Margaret had no answer. The interview went viral too, adding another 10 million views to her humiliation. Daniel, meanwhile, had disappeared. Some said he'd fled the state. Others said he was working at a car wash in New Jersey. Nobody knew for sure, and nobody cared enough to find out. The Second Chances Foundation officially launched from Suite 1520 of the Meridian building, my old office, now completely renovated. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The place where I'd failed was now where others would find hope. By February, we'd given out $5 million in grants to 50 women. Each one had a story of failure, of being written off, of family members who'd kicked them when they were down. One woman, Patricia Williams, had lost her restaurant and been disowned by her parents for embarrassing the family name. We gave her $200,000. $6 months later, her new restaurant had a 3-month wait list. I hired my fellow janitors from the night shift as building administrators. They knew every inch of that building, and they deserved better than minimum wage. Marcus, who'd cleaned alongside me for 3 years, became head of operations at $75,000 a year. "You remembered us," he said on his first day. "Nobody remembers the cleaning crew." "I was the cleaning crew," I reminded him. "We remember each other." The foundation's board met monthly. Alina, despite her age, never missed a meeting. She'd roll in, back to using the wheelchair for convenience, not deception, and provide wisdom that came from building her own empire from nothing. The media attention brought unexpected benefits. Successful women entrepreneurs started volunteering as mentors. Venture capitalists offered matching funds. By March, the foundation's endowment had grown to $150 million through donations. I bought a brownstone in Brooklyn, not flashy, but mine. Every mortgage payment came from money I'd earned as director, not from the lottery. That mattered to me. I needed something that was purely from my own work, not from luck. In April, I found out what happened to Daniel. A former colleague sent me a photo from a rest stop in Newark, my brother in a janitor's uniform mopping the men's bathroom. The company name on his shirt was Clean Dreams, the same company that had contracted with the Meridian building. I didn't feel satisfaction or pity, just nothing. He'd made his choices. Margaret's fall was more public. The house, Alina's house, was put on the market in May. She had nowhere to go. No relatives would take her in after the Christmas disaster. She ended up renting a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens, working as a cashier at a luxury goods store where she'd once shopped. The ultimate irony. The store was in the same mall where I used to eat my lunch during janitor breaks, counting pennies for a Subway sandwich. Now she was the one counting pennies, serving women who whispered about her. Isn't that the lottery mother? Jennifer tried to salvage her influencer career by pivoting to redemption content. She made apology videos, talked about growth and learning from mistakes. But the internet never forgets. Her followers dropped from 50,000 to 3,000. The remaining ones only stayed for the drama, commenting things like, "Remember when you filmed your aunt eating on the porch?" Her daughter, the one who'd whispered about the janitor, reached out to me in June. She was 18, about to start college, and wanted to apologize. "I was horrible," she wrote. "I learned it from my parents, but that's no excuse. I'm trying to be better." I wrote back, "Being better is a choice you make every day. Make good choices." She's now studying social work, wants to help homeless families. Sometimes people surprise you. 6 months after that Christmas dinner, Fortune magazine featured me on their cover. The janitor who gave away $90 million and won everything. The article detailed how the Second Chances Foundation had already helped 150 women restart their careers, creating over 500 jobs in the process. I did the interview in Suite 1520, sitting at the same desk where I'd once signed my company's bankruptcy papers. The reporter asked, if I ever regretted giving away so much money. Every dollar I gave away freed me, I said. From expectations, from the need for revenge, from the weight of proving myself to people who never believed in me anyway. Alina was thriving at 86, serving as the foundation's honorary chair. Dee sold the Westchester house for $3 million and donated it all to the foundation. I don't need things, she said. I need purpose. Olivia gave me that. We had lunch every Sunday, not in fancy restaurants, but in her assisted living facility's dining room where she'd moved by choice. I like being around people who have lived real lives, she said, not parasites waiting for inheritance. The foundation's success stories kept coming. A woman who'd lost her accounting firm to embezzlement started over, and now employed 20 people. A fashion designer whose business failed during COVID launched a sustainable clothing line that Target picked up. A chef who'd gone bankrupt opened a culinary school for formerly incarcerated women. Each success proved what I'd learned during those 5 years as a janitor. Failure isn't the end if someone believes in your beginning. My office wall had photos of all our grant recipients, no photos of family. The foundation staff, they were my real family now. People who understood that respect isn't about money, it's about character. A year after that Christmas, a customer at Margaret's store filmed her and posted it online. She was helping a wealthy woman try on a $50,000 necklace when the customer said, "Aren't you the mother from that lottery video? The one who made her daughter eat outside?" Margaret's face crumbled. She excused herself and never came back to the floor. She was fired that afternoon for abandoning her post. The video, of course, went viral again. Lottery mom still paying for her greed became a trending topic. People were merciless in the comments, but one stood out. She still doesn't get it. She left her job rather than face the consequences of her actions, just like she never faced what she did to her daughter. Someone leaked that Margaret had the photocopy of the lottery ticket framed in her apartment. She checked the numbers daily as if they might somehow change. Her neighbor reported hearing her on the phone, still telling people about her millions that were stolen from her. Daniel surfaced briefly when he was arrested for a minor fraud scheme, trying to sell fake lottery tickets to desperate people. The irony was perfect. He got 6 months in jail and 2 years probation. The janitor job was no longer an option. He couldn't pass the background check. Jennifer's husband, Robert, divorced her, citing irreconcilable differences. The real reason, according to court documents, was that the lottery video had destroyed his professional reputation. No one wanted a lawyer who tried to steal a lottery ticket on camera. The last I heard, Margaret was working at a dollar store in the Bronx, living on food stamps and Social Security. The woman who'd inherited everything and earned nothing was finally experiencing what she'd wished on me: actual poverty. Here's what I learned from winning $100 million and giving away $90 million of it. Money is just paper. It's what you do with that paper that defines you. My mother saw that paper as power, as proof of superiority, as a weapon to hurt those she deemed beneath her. She grabbed for it with both hands and ended up with nothing but a worthless photocopy and a lifetime of regret. I saw it as freedom, not just for me, but for women who'd been where I'd been. Rock bottom, written off, told they were failures who didn't deserve second chances. Character is everything. It's what remains when the money's gone, when the cameras stop rolling, when you're alone with your choices. My mother's character was revealed that Christmas night. Greedy, cruel, willing to steal from her own daughter. That's who she always was. The money just exposed it. True wealth isn't in bank accounts. It's in self-respect. It's in knowing you can look at yourself in the mirror without flinching. It's in the peace that comes from living with integrity, even when, especially when, no one's watching. Sometimes, you need to lose people to find yourself. I lost my family that Christmas, but I found my purpose. The Second Chances Foundation has now helped over 300 women restart their lives. That's 300 families changed, 300 stories rewritten, 300 proofs that failure isn't final. The janitors I worked with for 5 years, they were the first grant recipients. They'd pooled their savings to start a cleaning company that now has contracts with half of Manhattan's office buildings. They named it Dignity Services. I was never poor. I was just surrounded by bankrupt souls who measured worth in dollars instead of character. Now I'm free of them, and that freedom is priceless. Thank you for watching my story. If you've ever been judged by your bank account instead of your character, you're not alone. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories of underdogs who refuse to stay down. Share this with someone who needs to remember their worth isn't measured in dollars. What would you have done with the $100 million? Let me know in the comments below.